Hello, everyone, and welcome to our panel about seeking professional success, cultural identity, and happiness as an international student. Today's panel is about sharing variety of experiences and perspectives from individuals who are in tech and are from drastically different backgrounds. Additionally, this panel aims to inspire audience to overcome challenges creatively, seek positivity in adversity, and empower to lead a successful and fulfilling academic, social, and professional life despite restrictions on professional opportunities and cultural expression. Let's take a look at today's panelists. And here is a little bit intro about myself. My name is Devyani Donde. I am currently a junior at the University of Toledo. I'm basically from Nashik, India, and here in the US, majoring in information technology with a minor in business administration. A fun fact about me is that I'm a theater artist. So, next up, we have Ashwag.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashwag. I'm from Saudi Arabia. I'm very excited to be here today. I'm a PhD candidate in information systems at University of Maryland, Baltimore County. I'm a researcher interested in human-computer interaction, information retrieval, and consumer informatics. I'm very passionate about supporting women in technology, and I've been involved in different organizations that have been dedicated to help and inspire women in computing. As of today, I'm proud to be a part of Arab Women in Computing, an official sisters chapter of Anita Borg Institute, with the goal of connecting Arab women in technology across the globe. Fun fact about me, I'm a group fitness instructor for Pilates and yoga type of training.
Thank you so much, Ashwag. I'm glad that you're on the panel today. Next, we have Komal.
Hey everyone, my name's Komal. I'm super excited to be here as well. I am currently a senior at Carnegie Mellon University. I graduate this December and I'm majoring in computer science. I'm originally from New Delhi, India, but I was born in the UK. I'm going to be pursuing software engineering as a career path. I'm also super interested in linguistics and I'm minoring in linguistics. A fun fact about me is that I beatbox for South Asian a cappella. Also, I live on the road.
That is amazing. We are excited to have you here as well, Komal. Next up, we
Thank
have
you.
Athena.
Hi everyone, I'm Athena Xiao. I'm a product manager at Microsoft and formerly a research assistant at Harvard Business School. Outside work, I'm very active in writing and speaking. You can find my articles on Medium that covers my journey to be a product manager as an international student with no formal experience or internship in big tech companies. Fun fact about me is that I'm a nerd by nature. So I've been to 6 different universities.
6 different universities. That must have been really cool. So, next up, we have Fatima.
Hi everyone, I'm Fatima Rafiki, a graduate student at Indiana University. I'm originally from New Delhi, India, and I'm here to pursue a degree in human-computer interaction and design. Previously, I worked for around 2.5 years as a software development engineer, and there I discovered my passion for design and I wanted to switch my career from development to design. So that is what I talk about, career switch, design, and biryani, of course.
Well, thank you. Biryani is my favorite too. So, today's session is divided majorly into 3 parts. The first one is professional advice. Obviously, being in tech, and we all need professional advice. So, here is today's first question. What are some problems you have faced with regards to build professional networks in the United States, and how do you overcome them? What's your take on this, Athena?
Hi, yeah, absolutely. So this is one of the biggest challenge when I first came here. The networking, the word itself doesn't even exist in Chinese, so I have no idea what the concept is. And apart from kind of the cultural difference, there's also kind of the general social anxiety about like, oh, what other people think of me? What if my accent is too strong, etc. However, the way I kind of navigate through this is through a sudden realization that human beings are we are, regardless of our cultural and country background, we are all just human beings. We can bond over our common human nature. A funny story, I got an internship interview at Harvard Computer Science Department when I was shopping in a shopping mall with my mom. I recognized a professor who is very famous in education technology field, and I just come to him like so excited, like, oh, professor, I'm your big fan. I watch your courses. I love your teaching style so much. And then the professor is super chill and like, oh, like, who are you? What are you doing? Like, and I said, oh, I'm Athena. I'm a senior at Brandeis University. I'm looking for summer internships. I just casually asked. I didn't really mean it. I was like, oh, do you have a job? And he said, yes, send me your resume. So that's how I got an internship interview offer from Harvard, just to show up myself and be ready for the opportunity.
That is really good. I'm glad you got that opportunity. Fatima, what do you think about this?
For networking, I would say the context is very different here in the United States and back in India. I sat for placement exams back in India when I was in third year, went through my internship, and then internship converted into a full-time offer. And then I worked for around 2 years as a developer. So I had no idea what networking was at that time. And what I knew from other people was they usually talk to their classmates, friends, or somebody they know and ask for a referral, or they talk to directly to the manager. The friends talk to the manager and get them referred, and then they have their interview set up. But here it was different. People, around 100, 200, 300 applicants are applying for the same job positions, and you don't have much contacts as an international student. How do you make your presence felt? So that is when I learned that you need to actually leverage your LinkedIn network. You actually need to leverage your social media profiles and accounts like Twitter, where you tweet about what you are passionate about. You make your presence felt and make the team that you're interviewing for make them feel that you are right fit for the job. One of the ways you can do it is create content of what you're passionate about, or post about things that you've read, you're doing, you're actually practicing, and how you are working on improvising yourself and getting better at the job that you are applying for. Another thing is, what you can do is you can either message people on LinkedIn and ask for advice. You don't have to know that person. It can be somebody from your alumni group. It can be somebody just random. Just go ahead and say, hey, I'm interested in this company. Can we talk about the culture? And just don't ask generic questions, something that can just be Googled around. Ask something specific so that they also feel that they can add some value from their profile to you. You show that zeal of learning, so they also have that feeling that they can have some impact on your life. I think you surely will hear back. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Reaching out and just putting yourself out there, and networking is really important, especially here in the US. What's your take on this, Komal?
So I completely agree with what Athena and Fatima said. I've also had to face those struggles. But I think my biggest struggle was very personal. I come from a background where I didn't have much computer science knowledge beforehand, and therefore I already felt bad about my skill level. I looked down upon myself because I didn't have as much of a technical background as other people. Plus, I was Indian, so because of visa restrictions, companies were already less likely to hire me. This led me to doubt my own abilities, and I didn't believe in myself. So I would be very hesitant to network with professionals because I would be scared of failure. I think what helped me was realizing that I am expecting too much of myself. I'm being too hard on myself. I come from a culture where humility is valued to an extent where even talking about your skills is kind of looked down upon. It's kind of looked to as bragging. And here in the United States, it's actually encouraged to talk to people about your skills and tell them what value you can bring to their company or to their team. Another thing I realized is that everyone in college is learning to network for the first time, and that I'm not alone. I shouldn't feel behind on the process just because of my background. and that even if I don't have enough skills, I should keep showing a willingness to learn, because that's what matters the most at the end.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't know, like we all are sailing in the same boat when we are applying for jobs and doing that networking thing when we're in college. So, this is our next question. How do you seek mentorship in tech industry from leading professionals? What's your story with your current mentors, and how have your mentors helped you in your personal growth? Fatima, what do you think about this?
I think people generally associate mentorship with talking to somebody and getting direct guidance, or like actually having a physical conversation with somebody over chat or call or whatever. But for me, mentorship turned out to have a totally different meaning. When I came here, I had nobody to talk to about how to navigate, because I was from a development background, as I talked previously, and I was transitioning into design, and I had no contacts in design at all. So what I did was I took Medium subscription. I took leveraged the subscriptions offered by my university and started reading blogs, articles, and experiences of what people have shared about how they navigated their path, and I learned from their experiences. So what I actually subconsciously did was pick chunks from different experiences and actually built a strategy of my own that worked very well for me. So I would say, do not associate mentorship with just one-to-one conversation or just approaching. Look for different ways and opportunities of having mentorship. If you go ahead and read a blog about something, like note down what is important, that you can actually have something to learn from that. And if you feel that you are worthy of sharing something, feel free to write that, because that might help out somebody else. So yeah, that is something that helped me a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go ahead, Athena.
Yeah, that's such a good insight. I used to mentor a lot of people who interested in breaking into PM, especially international students. But later on, I realized that it's not the scalable way to help everyone to jump on the phone one-on-one. So I started to blogging actively on Medium. And then nowadays, I still mentor a lot of people, but like I don't need to spend time like answering general questions. They will first read my articles and come up with some intelligent follow-up questions that makes me realize that, oh, they're like digesting my experiences and asking like kind of asking interesting follow-up questions that also make me to learn something new. So maybe you can start by reading articles, and once you have some interesting like follow-up questions, reach out to the author. Like she or him will be interested in hearing your feedback on the articles and may be more likely to take you as a mentee.
Yeah, exactly. I believe like experience is a very good teacher, be it yours or someone else. You learn from others' failures and you get to know what things you do to become successful. Yep. So our next question is, what are some resources you wish more international students knew about, like organizations, conferences, events, and fellowships? Ashwag, to talk about this?
Yeah, definitely, sure. As international students, we are, aware of some restrictions we may encounter in academic or professional career. However, I think being in tech um, major, there are numerous opportunities. I can speak specifically about being grad student in grad school. Giant tech companies, they have different kind of resources of funding. And for example, like attending conferences, you may find like Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and other companies sponsor students to go to these conferences. And there are also ACM for women chapter. Also, there is CRA. They have very specific events supporting students. And some of these conferences, like very specifically research conferences, and students always have an opportunity to go and attend these conferences as a student volunteer. So if they have received the student or they got to be sponsored as students volunteers, they don't have to worry about the conference registration. And there are also other kind of scholarship and fellowship for students, and international students also included. And I remember I saw one of my friends in the department long time ago. She received Google American Tech Maker Scholarship, and I was even hesitant to apply because I was like thinking about, because she's like, she got her undergrad from the US and she's with American citizenship. So I'm like, oh no way that I would receive the scholarship. I asked her and she encouraged me to apply the next year, but even I was like kind of hesitant that how and what I need to work more on. Then the following year I applied and I received the scholarship for the first time. So something I'm very proud of, and I really encourage every one of you to consider applying to the scholarships or fellowship that you may hear about. Also, I received this year the American Association for University Women International Fellowship, and this is specifically supporting master and PhD students who are working on research. And also for the resources, once you being involved in different variety of projects or organizations, that way you'd explore and you will learn and you will expand your network. In that case, you will, be aware of the opportunities that might arise around.
Yeah, congratulations on your fellowship. I believe this would be really, useful for your future and as a tech professional.
Thank you.
So here we are to our next section about personal and cultural identity. Obviously, staying abroad and away from your family and your culture, it's really hard. But let's see what our panelists have to say on this topic. So the question here is, how do you maintain your cultural identity while adjusting to American culture at school and in workplace? Athena, would you like to share your views on this?
I had this realization one day that as a foreigner, I will be strange no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, in the eyes of people who grow up in the American culture. So there's no point of me trying to fit in, even though it's very obvious that I'm not born in this country. So I started to push myself to be comfortable in my own skin and embrace the fact that I am an international student and I'm proud of it. A good funny example I can give is I went to a Jewish community event one day, and I was the only Chinese girl. The rabbi asked us to give a self-introduction, and then I said about like who you are, where are you from. So most people said they are from like Oregon or Portland or California, and then I stood up, I said like I'm from China. And the rabbi said like, I don't know anything about China. The only thing I know is that the t-shirt I'm wearing was made in China. And then I just said, oh, but so am I. So instead of like feeling that I'm an outsider, I kind of even joke about it. And the fact that I am confident in my uniquenesses invite other people to embrace my cultural identity. And I urge everyone here to do the same.
Exactly. I completely agree with you. If you celebrate your cultural identity, you will be more comfortable in your own skin, and like people won't find you getting awkward or something. What's your take on this, Fatima?
I think my experiences resonate quite a bit with Athena, but not exactly the same. So being a Muslim here, I think I'm the only Muslim in my class. And when I came here, the culture was very new to me. The concept of social hours was new to me. So I felt that I was missing out on all the networking opportunities, all the cohort bonding, and like missing out on a lot of things just by not going to social events because I don't drink or I don't smoke. So that was one of the hesitance that I had initially, but gradually I realized that these things don't actually matter. What matters is when you are around with people, be the true self that you are. Get comfortable with what you want and let people know that you're not comfortable with something. This as an international student, I would say in the area where I live, my university and the surrounding and the environment, they are all very accepting. So if you go out, go ahead and talk to people, tell them your preferences, just have a normal conversation. It will be fine. Like just don't have the feeling of missing out and like restrict yourself from going out just because you feel that you won't gel out with them as much. So I would say, do not push yourself into something that you're not comfortable with. If you don't feel like going, don't feel like going. And if you feel like going and you're still stopping yourself, just go out and like try it out. You'll figure out a way.
Yeah, exactly. If you tell someone that your preferences of if you're not comfortable will they will surely respect that. Komal, what do you think about this?
So I think my experience has kind of been different. I think I have changed a lot since coming to America. One of the things, I don't know if this is obvious, but I don't have that strong of an Indian accent. I can switch though. So when I'm talking to Indian people, I switch to a completely Indian accent. And otherwise, I switch for the sake of convenience so that people can understand me better. I don't view this as changing my identity. I view this as something I do for the sake of convenience. Um, but I do make it a point to call people out if they mispronounce my name. If someone calls me Komal, I am going to make them call me Komal because that's my name. And I try to stay true to my identity by staying involved in South Asian a cappella. But I do believe that coming to the USA, I have learned a lot of good things from their culture. And I don't think it's my responsibility to hold on to parts of my culture. I think I am a product of both Indian and American cultures. And my identity is very personal. It is not related to any one place that I've been to.
Exactly. Well, I hope I'm saying your name. This is our next question. Have you been treated differently because of your cultural or religious identity? How do you resolve cultural conflicts and how do you come to terms with it? Komal, what's your take on this?
Yeah, so one of the experiences I have very often is being told by professionals in my workplace that, oh, your English is surprisingly good. And that's not a compliment. Come on, that's offensive. Just because I'm Indian doesn't mean that my English is going to be bad. It is disheartening to see that this colleague or superior is always going to think of me as that Indian kid who speaks good English and not as a talented professional in this workplace. And I think it's very important to communicate your concerns. If and it doesn't need to be to the person whose comments bothered you. It can be to someone you feel comfortable with, just to not feel alone. I think the importance of community is very important, and realizing that we're all in this together, and realizing that these prejudices and stereotypes happen, but you need to keep going despite of them, and you need to stay strong despite of them, has been very important for me.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I love to comment on that. I feel like, yeah, there are prejudice and stereotypes. So as an individual, we can break those stereotypes. We not just to break it for ourselves, but also to break it for all other people.
Thank you for your views, guys. So, here we are on the third section of today's session. This is about life as an international student. Let's see what our panelists, what their views are on this topic. So, the question we have here is, what are your self-care strategies and resources that empower you to push through obstacles and remain optimistic? What's your take on this, Athena?
Absolutely. I have a quote I just immensely love. It's from Oscar Wilde. It's called, "Loving yourself is the beginning of a lifelong romance." I hold this very dear to my heart because at the end of the day, I realized that no matter how many friends I have, the family, ultimately I'm on my own. So I am fully in charge of my own destiny, and I should absolutely take care of myself, because myself is the only treasure that is actually belongs to me. The people will come and go. You will earn money but also lose money. Like, all time is fleeting. So there's no point in not accepting the one and the only biggest treasure in your life, that is yourself. So having that strong foundation on self-love, I start to be proactive in taking care of myself. For example, I went to like counseling therapy, which is culturally discouraged, and my family were really concerned because that's just out of their like knowledge domain. But I'm so glad I did it and resolved lots of the cultural and also family kind of conflicts with the internal struggle within me. And another thing is I take extra time on self-care activities like yoga, watercolor painting, reading, mindfulness, dancing, cooking. So I make sure that my life is not just about work or grades. It's also about whether I'm actually enjoying the moment at this time.
Yeah, that is self-care is really important, I believe as well. Ashwag, what's your take on self-care?
So yeah, I think, yeah, I have similar things. As the students, we know we're affiliated with the school, and there are different services that we don't have to worry about paying for that, like therapists and some of the events and workshops that more dedicated to support students and they're also mental health. And I'm also very passionate about, hiking, camping, and more connected with nature. Something I really enjoy, and I do it on regular basis. And I would really encourage everyone that to find something that they enjoy more and do it when they feel they are down, or they may keep it even consistent. Yeah, and I'm also in love with fitness and the gym. And recently I find that I wanted to level, advance my knowledge more, and I seek training, fitness training, and kind of workout that I really love. It's about fitness, Pilates and yoga.
Well, that is amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I would like to echo both Dina and Ashwag's opinions on this, that therapy is culturally discouraged, even in my culture. And after having sought out therapy, I have realized that there is so much more to self-care and self-love that we have culturally been told to not focus on. And that is another thing that we should definitely take advantage of now that we are in the United States, where mental health is looked at more positively. And I would encourage everyone to engage in self-love more now that they're in a more culturally accepting environment.
Yeah. I also believe another way of self-care is doing meditation and reflecting on yourself. That helped me a lot, especially during this pandemic period, and just helped me keep my mental. So, the next question we have is, what are some challenges you face while trying to pursue your true area of interest in the face of visa restrictions? So, how do you make those difficult decisions and what has helped you? Let's start with Athena on this.
Oh my God, I have so much to say about this topic. So I'm a product manager at Microsoft, being an international student. So when I started looking for a PM job in the middle of the pandemic, with no PM internship, with no former internship in the big tech companies, everyone told me that don't think about it. It's not possible. You're an international student. You lack of the communication skill. You don't know the American markets well. You don't have the empathy for the American users. Well, it turns out that though I'm not familiar with the Americans market, I have a very in-depth understanding of the China's market. And nowadays with like TikTok and other like apps looking to expand to the US market or the global market, I have so much more to offer because I can analyze those successful businesses in a more in-depth way. I remember writing a blog called Design Spotify for the Blind, and I borrowed some of the ideas from a Chinese music app that rely heavily on like lyrics and like comments, which is not commonly found in the Western music app like Spotify. So even though I have less understanding of the America's cultural or market, the time I spend elsewhere also brings unique value to the table. So you should always appreciate whatever you have because that's what makes you, you.
Oh, that's a really good point. Thank you. Komal, what's your take on this?
Pursuing my true interests, being an international student, my struggle was like peer pressure, from other international students. It didn't have much to do with people in the United States, as opposed to what Athena had to face. I had an internal conflict between choosing what's practical and what I really wanted to do. At Carnegie Mellon, computer science majors are required to do an additional minor, and most international students would end up choosing something that is super technical, super practical, something that they can write on their resume while applying to a software engineering job. But I wanted to minor in linguistics, which is a Department of Philosophy subject, and doesn't really add anything to my resume if I'm applying to a tech company. And I think what helped me was understanding that I'm already an asset. I am already gaining a lot of skills that these tech companies want. And it's okay to branch out. I think as international students, a lot of us tend to put a lot of pressure on ourselves, try to keep making ourselves more and more valuable to companies. And that is like building yourself for someone else. You need to build yourself for yourself as well. So it's important to not be too hard on yourself. Being an international student is already very hard, and you should be respecting yourself for that.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm sure most of the people in our audience would agree with that. Fatima, what's your take on this?
I think for me, I resonate a lot with Komal, but in different ways. While I was applying to the US for a graduate program, I had only a handful of universities that actually had a complete HCI course. So I figured out there are only 7 to 8 companies that offer the course that I am interested in. So I was running at the risk of, what if I don't get an admit from one of these colleges? Where will I go then? Will I be able to pursue a graduate studies or not? And what are the options? So what worked for me was I actually looked out for a plan B. What I did was I applied to certain schools that has a master's in computer science with a minor in HCI, or were focused or had a specific track for HCI. So for me, I think I always have a plan A and a plan B. If plan A doesn't work, I have a fallback plan. So that makes me feel safe and more confident of taking risks. So I think that is something that you all can try out.
Yeah, like with changing visa policies and stuff, I feel having a plan B is really important. So I think that's end with all the questions and 3 sessions. Now is the time for Q&A. Before we head out to Q&A, I hope you guys enjoyed today's session and it was really helpful.